Hey everybody, welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am Paul Shirey the Beard, joined by my compatriot, the Bald, Christopher Bumper.
Well, hello. Nice to talk to you again.
Hey, where have I been?
Yeah, where you been? Out with your new friends, I guess, eh?
Dang it, hey, cheating on the Bald.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you've been pretty chummy with a bunch of people posting
It's true.
your photos with everybody, eh?
I mean, we're pretty much best friends with all those.
Interesting.
Since I took pictures with them, we're now
Interesting. Yeah.
I've been invited to the lake house, Puerto Vallarta, wherever, you know.
Interesting.
So we've had a bit of a hiatus, and it is mostly my fault because I had CinemaCon, which is basically a week long, in Vegas, and then we just Chris and I were just not able to make it happen in the interim before I had to leave for Star Wars Celebration, which was really just a 3-day gap that I had before coming here, which is where I'm at now, sitting in a hotel in Chicago. So we just happened to find by chance a short window here to knock out a podcast, and we want to make sure that our 13 listeners get their fix because we know that's important to you guys.
I mean, it's always tricky to find a time, and usually it would kind of have to be the weekend because, I mean, I do have a couple of day jobs, you know, so it's always kind of hard. It's always kind of tricky to navigate
and he's got a night job, too.
Well.
Driving an Uber.
No, I don't drive an Uber. It'd be cool if I did, but no, I don't. But it's kind of one of those things. Back in Montreal, I've been kind of busy time at work, and finding the time it hasn't been as luxurious as Paul, but finding the time can be a little tough sometimes.
Yes, but anyways, we're here now, and that's what's important. So. We're always striving, and what's weird is we've been talking about, oh my god, when can we do it? When can you do it? When can you do it? It's like a back and forth. So certainly not for a lack of trying, that's for sure.
It's tough because, you know, I can communicate with you and I can email with you because I can do it from work and stuff like that. But it's just hard to, you know, because I work in an office, so it's not really like I'm out of touch. But it's just, you know, I feel like the goodwill of my employers would be stretched a little bit if I was going. I'm going to take 90 minutes to go and record a podcast.
Hey guys, just need a couple hours. The irony of that is that there's probably plenty of people at your work that are fucking wasting 2 hours like it's nothing.
Well, you know, I work at a radio station, right? So it's so we're around all this recording equipment, and people are using the recording equipment for stuff that has nothing to do with the radio station. I can tell you that for a fact, but you know.
Well then. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff to get through. I got a lot of beans to spill on stuff that I saw at CinemaCon. Some sort of stuff I saw here.
I'm thinking we should start with Star Wars Celebration, though, considering that's the biggest story, right? I mean, yesterday, the new trailer. I mean, I don't know when you guys can be listening to this, but we're recording this on a Saturday, and literally, so at the radio station that I work at, I write a script for a show, right? The Montreal Top 40. All right, so I'm writing the script. It's all done. It's been a busy as hell day. I'm finally got it done, and I have a million other things to do at the station too, because I'm a commercial copywriter, right? And I'm got a ton of stuff to do, piles and piles and piles of work. Finally, I get an email from the producer of the show, and he's like, "Oh shit, the Star Wars trailer just dropped. I think we should put that into the news story." So I had to go back in, and I had to do it. But you know, I did watch the trailer. Give me an excuse to watch the trailer at work because it's part of my job, and I mean, getting people talking, that's for sure. Getting people talking. And I suppose you were right there when it premiered.
Yeah, so. Right there in it. So I even shared a clip because the restrictions were so loose on this. Like, they were letting us record and take pictures and live tweet and all this other stuff. And, you know, at first I was like, well, I'm not going to record the trailer.
Yeah, it ended up on like CNN, didn't it? Or something like that? Or
I don't know. Mine might have. I don't know. But I saw everybody's recording, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna record too. So I wanted to record the first trailer reaction, like literally the first time the public is seeing this trailer at Star Wars Celebration. So I started recording, and I had the whole trailer recorded, but Twitter only allows you to post, you know, a certain amount of time. So I posted that on Twitter, and it's like 6,000 fucking likes, and I don't know how many thousand, almost 2,000 retweets, and it's been, you know, people are just pulling it left and right. I'm surprised there's not more of them out there, though.
It's funny. I mean, didn't Travis tag you saying that he?
Yeah, Travis tagged me for something I was on MSNBC and. Yeah. But anyways, you know, I just wanted to share because there is truly nothing like a diehard fan reaction to a trailer. It's very much what it's like at Comic-Con when they do big reveals and people just lose their fucking minds. And it's one of the coolest goosebump inducing feelings ever. So I just wanted to share that. And I'm gonna actually put the whole thing in my video piece. We'll see what happens with that.
It's weird. It's weird for me because I don't get that excited over a trailer. I mean, the only time I can really say that I kind of creamed my pants over a trailer was I have to go way back 20 years ago to when the Phantom Menace trailer dropped, because I remember that was like a big kind of event.
Oh yeah.
Right? But now it's like I don't, I mean, I remember I zoomed through, I scanned through the trailer and it was fine, and there was
it was fine.
There were certain things about it that were cool. I mean,
well, I mean, there's some pretty big reveals, even just in the last like 5 seconds.
Mean, the big thing is Palpatine, but I don't know how that's going to work, and I don't.
He's back, yeah, for sure. It is 100% Palpatine. There were people like, who was laughing? I thought that was Luke. I was like, why the fuck would just because Mark Hamill does the voice of the Joker doesn't mean laugh like that at the end of the fucking Star Wars trailer, you dimball.
Well, they brought Ian McDermott up on stage, didn't they?
Well, yeah. Well, so what happened was they played the trailer once, right? And everybody's like, they hear that laugh and they're like, what? Holy fuck. And everybody's losing their mind because that's the very first time the title is revealed. And then like the lights go red and there's fucking Ian McDermott standing on stage. And then in his Emperor voice, he goes, roll it again. And then that's it. That's all he said. He wasn't on stage ever again. And then everybody like lost their shit and they played the trailer again. And it was like, holy fuck. Emperor's back. And even Kathleen Kennedy, I guess in interviews afterwards, was like, yeah, it's always been in the cards to work the Emperor back in. So there's that.
It was cool seeing Billy D. Williams back as Lando. Let me ask you though, it's funny, somebody posted this. Why do they always wear the same clothes though? Like you only have one pair of clothes?
You talking about like the actual actor?
Yeah, well, like the clothes are like exactly the same that he wears. He's always Lando.
But Billy D's a pimp, bro. He's just gonna wear what he's gonna wear. He's always got like some kind of like scarf thing and a cane because he's
always a cape. Always has a cape.
Yeah, like a cape scarf. Because
I have to say, I am happy to see Lando back, the second coolest cat in the galaxy after Han.
Yeah.
After Harrison Ford's Han. I mean,
Harrison Han.
I mean, I'll tell you, fucking Donald Glover was way cooler as Lando than Alden Ehrenreich was.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did love, but Harrison as Han is the coolest still.
For sure. And he was really, and Billy D was really cool. Obviously, he was very Billy D. Williams.
I'm sure he's super psyched to be back. It's kind of one of those things. Yeah. Wow, how did it not happen yet? But then considering that the original cast is all
they killed everybody else.
I guess it's the only guy they can bring back at this point. So, yeah.
I really feel like they kind of botched that aspect of the final 3 movies in this fucking franchise because they never got everybody all together. Most we got was Harrison Ford and Leia getting a hug, and they had Luke giving Leia a kiss on her forehead. There was no real interaction or anything between them.
Yeah, which is kind of too bad because if you watch the other movies, like, I mean, I always like best thing about the first Star Wars is the fact that they spend the whole thing together and it's the relationship. But then, the other ones were kind of like that too, though. I mean, they were split up for most of Empire and they were split up for most of Return of the Jedi. And I always kind of thought that was kind of sad, the fact that you never saw the 3 of them. I liked them as a unit, and I liked the relationship between them.
Even just one scene would have been something.
Yeah.
But the fact that we didn't get everybody, I really do feel like that's a misstep. I think it's something I would always regret if I was a part of that. And how they never even thought of it, and maybe they did, but
I'm
sure
they
decided not to do it.
I'm sure they thought of it, but I'm sure that also at the same time, Ford probably only wanted to do the one movie. And
and in that one movie, maybe I don't know. I guess really what screwed it up was Luke. Because, they put him on that island and it was mysterious and it was cool in Force Awakens and then it was uncool in The Last Jedi, in my humble opinion. But, I get that aspect, but it's just...
Okay, so as somebody who famously didn't like Last Jedi, what do you think of what do you make of the new trailer?
It honestly gave me more hope. And I think that title says a lot. Mm-hmm. And I really do feel like there's going to be... I feel like it's not a retcon of what they did in Last Jedi. I think it's just a further reveal because I always felt that it was disingenuous when he was like, oh, your parents are nobodies. They're just in a grave. I never bought that because they spent the entirety of The Force Awakens. Why would they spend a whole movie building that up just to like toss it away in the second movie? It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know.
It doesn't mean that she's a Skywalker per se, but she's got something. But either way, the name Skywalker and the rise of Skywalker, it means something there. Luke's gone, presumably, right? And he's puffed into the Force. And, there's Kylo Ren, who is, half Skywalker. But I feel like if they're making it about the name, which really it is the Skywalker saga, I feel like there's got to be some deeper connection to Rey and how that plays out. And somebody had pointed out, I talked to another one of our competitors. I was chatting with him, and he did a trailer breakdown, and he said that he thinks the ship that's flying in the trailer in the kind of darkened planet, the nighttime place, wherever they're going, is the same ship that dropped off Rey. So I feel like there's more to it. We'll see. Either way, it gave me hope. I was glad to see that. I did not expect that title. I thought it would be something way more generic, like The Force Rises or something with the Force. I thought the balance of the Force or some shit. I thought that's what it would be. So the title, it creates mystery again. That's what I love about Star Wars. That's what I always love. The things that people say they get angry about that they don't want to see anymore. The mysterious reveals and things like that. Like, that's part of the Star Wars lore to me. That's what I love about it. And it feels good to have that mystery again, because I have so many questions at this point. How does the Emperor come back? What does it mean when Luke says, nobody's really ever gone? I feel like there's going to be much more explained and much more layers peeled back for us to understand. Like,
moving on to other Star Wars stuff, though. So The Mandalorian is going to be the next Star Wars thing that we see, probably even before the rise of Skywalker, I guess, because they say that
just
Disney
before Plus, probably November, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so it's supposed to drop
or after. Fall. I don't know.
And interesting, because I don't know if I'm necessarily going to get it in Canada at the same time that you guys are, because it's supposed to be North America's Q1, so we're definitely going to get it within a couple of months of you guys getting it, but I'm not sure if we're going to get it at the same time. But it's funny because you and I were talking about stocks the other day, and apparently Disney stock has gone way, 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 way up when after the Disney Plus reveal, as opposed to the Apple reveal where it plunged because people were very underwhelmed by it.
Yeah,
as underwhelmed as people were underwhelmed by the Apple one, though, people seem to really have their expectations kind of blasted, out of the sky by Disney. And I have to say, like, looking at it, I was somebody who wasn't sure that they would necessarily subscribe to it, but then seeing the price point and seeing that it was only $6.99, and the content that they have, I mean, I think probably when it comes out in Canada, I probably will end up subscribing to it.
It's a very manageable cost. And the interesting thing too is that the day that Disney revealed the Disney Plus price point and everything was the exact same day that Netflix sent out an email to all subscribers that the price was going up.
Well, Netflix is going to be...
I don't think that's accidental that happened. I think somebody at Disney found out that was going out, and they said, hey, we should drop our price point. Because here's the thing, all that Disney Plus stuff kind of came out in little trickles in one day. It didn't come out in like one broad swoop. It kind of came out in little bits, and then they sent out a press release. So I feel like they kind of jumped on that Netflix reveal to kind of basically look Netflix meh, blah, blah. Let me start. Jesus, I can't talk. They did that to make Netflix kind of look bad. Basically say, hey, look at this. They're raising their price. Look at our price, $6.99, bitch. Look at all these original shows, bitch. Sign up, bitch.
I mean, they've got, it's a lot of Marvel and a lot of Star Wars, but also they're playing, they're really kind of digging into the Fox library as well, too, though, in interesting ways. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious to see how they're
adding all the Simpsons on there too. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
Yeah, that's huge.
And the fact is that Simpsons isn't specifically family content. So it's not that it's unfamily friendly, but it's also kind of somewhat edgy to a degree. So it may not be as cotton candy as people are kind of thinking that it might be. So that's an interesting, it's an interesting reveal, and I like the look of it. And, I have to say, like, I was kind of on the fence about it. I think that we're probably going to get it here shortly after you guys do. Hopefully relatively soon. And, I think I'll probably subscribe to it. If it's that much, if it's $6.99, probably be a little
bit. I'll try it. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
For sure. the lineup alone, like Falcon, Winter Soldier. I love Winter Soldier. I don't really care that much for Falcon.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Oh no, I'm totally gonna get it. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's yeah, I kind of really do. I mean, just for my work alone, like
I feel like you could almost write it off as an expense at this point.
Are you kidding me? I write off all that shit. I just did my taxes. Trust me, dude. I write off all that shit because the truth is I can't.
Dude,
like if I don't know this stuff, like I'm the editor in chief of one of the biggest movie news sites out there. If I don't know my shit, I don't belong in this job. So yeah, I definitely have to. So but yeah, I think the show lineup so far looks good. I'm very interested in Falcon Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, the Loki show I'm interested in. Not as interested in Scarlet Vision. I do think it's interesting they're doing a Monsters Inc. animated show with Goodman and Billy Crystal coming back to reprise.
I like the What If show.
Fuck, that sounds so cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've read the What If comics for years, and so they're some of my favorite comics because they're very much like DC Elseworlds, where you can just take a known concept and then spin it on its head. And what's cool about the What If stories is like they'll always kill people and they'll like just do drastic, shocking things because they can. It's a one-off, it's like it's a what if. And that's always the most fun. And then the fact that they're going to have the original talent doing the voices for these characters opens it up as well. So like, I guess one of the first ones they're going to do is what if Peggy Carter became Captain America?
Yeah.
So I think that's it's interesting. Those are fun concepts to play with.
It's interesting though, because I was thinking about the price point and even I probably will not watch Disney Plus all that much. I'll probably watch some stuff, but not a ton. But at that price point, I don't feel like I have to necessarily watch it a whole lot. But it's interesting because the fall is going to be very, very competitive for streaming services. And I don't know how many of them we're going to get in Canada, because it's always a little bit different because the rights issues are different than they are in North America. Like, for instance, we still don't have Hulu. We have a service called Crave, which is like, imagine HBO Go, Hulu, and a couple other channels kind of strung together. Like, it's weird. We pull stuff from HBO, from Stars, from Showtime, from Hulu, and it's just weird how stuff shows up in like these because of these weird kind of cross-border agreements that they have.
Yeah.
But the big one that I'm really interested in is the Warner Media one, because they've got such a deep catalog. And I love classic movies, so I'm kind of curious to see how that one works, and I'm hoping that we get it in Canada relatively soon. But then there's also going to be NBC Universals. I've heard the Warner Media one though apparently is going to be tiered, meaning that there will be certain options of it that you can watch it that are ad supported that you won't have to pay, like the NBC one that they're doing. I can't imagine myself ever paying for that, but if it was ad supported, I would watch it.
Right.
Probably. I find that CBS All Access, they're making a mistake not going ad supported, because CBS All Access, I had it for the trial period, and it's not worth it at all for my opinion. And the thing is, I don't even live in the States, so our CBS All Access is less than yours, and it's
not quite all access.
So yeah, well, a lot of the stuff, the big shows on CBS All Access are Star Trek Discovery, which we get on Crave, so I'm already paying for it, and then the Twilight Zone. And the Twilight Zone I get now on basic cable because they have because it's a co-production with Canada, so they've got it on another channel. So it's all coming without subscribing to CBS All Access, and it's also on iTunes, so you can buy it. You can buy each episode if you wanted. Anyway, the one that I'm interested in now, though, which I got this week, we may as well jump right to it, is the Criterion Channel. The Criterion Channel just dropped this week, and it's available in the US and in Canada. And it's a little bit steeper than the other ones because it's an independent. It's about $15 a month, but already, man, I could tell you I'm super, super, super addicted to this channel. So basically,
what does it have?
Basically,
what is in it?
Well, it's the Criterion catalog, everything that they did Criterion editions of. Plus, they license stuff for like themed programming. But like, if you go to the Criterion Channel now, it's not like every Criterion movie is available. They keep refreshing the lineup, right? So they'll have theme months, and they'll have certain things that are available. Then things will go away, and then other things will come up, and then things will come back. So it's more like a legit channel that way. But it's cool. Like if you're a movie buff, it's super addictive. So like this weekend, this month they're doing a salute to Columbia Film Noir, right? Stuff for like this studio from the 50s. And so they've got movies on there. And then they've also got, here are the Criterion editions that we're highlighting this week. So for instance, last night I did a double bill with my girlfriend of stuff on the Criterion channel, right? Because that's all I've been talking about all week. And we watched this movie from the 50s, The Big Heat, which was like an old film noir. And then afterwards we watched Blood Simple, right? Because they had nice Criterion version of Blood Simple on there with all these, and they have all the extras are on there too. So we could see, we watched Blood Simple, then we watched Bill Hader talk about Blood Simple, and then MIA talk about Blood Simple, and it was kind of cool. I really like that though. There's a lot of really good programming on it. Like it's a little bit more expensive. It's $15 a month, which is kind of expensive for a streaming service because the version of HBO Go that we have in Canada, which is Crave, is only $5 more a month. But the fact that it's independent and the fact that the programming is so like oh God, what do you say? What's the word that I'm looking for? Curated. Yes, thank you, Laura.
There you go.
So curated, right? The fact that it's so curated, and I know that pretty much everything is interesting and worthwhile, and so many great movies too, like all this stuff that I watched in film school. And everything, I know the cool thing about the Criterion channel is I know that everything on it has artistic merit. It's not just crap that they throw up. You can see the list now, and it's all stuff that has a reason for being there and a theme that they'll do. Not everything is a good movie. A lot of stuff isn't, but they'll put it up because there's a historical reason that it's up. So you watch it and you're like, oh, well, that's interesting, and I've been watching some documentaries too, some stuff that they've got, and Paul Robeson, and just like, it's just, it's a great channel, I think, for anybody that really wants a serious kind of film education. Regardless of whether you've been to film school or not, it's probably more exciting if you haven't actually been to film school. If anybody wants a really interesting film education to see some really fundamental movies and see how their favorite directors are inspired, they should really get the Criterion channel. And they've got this series on it called Adventures in Moviegoing, where directors and actors and stuff like that will share their picks and they'll talk about a movie. Then you can watch the movie, and then they'll come back and they'll talk about another movie. And then you can watch the movie. Like Bill Hader has got a big lineup of all the movies that he really loves this month. Guillermo del Toro's got it, and Julie Taymor. These great. I find it a really, really, really interesting educational channel. I love it. Anybody who's serious about movies should think about giving it a try.
This episode paid for by the Criterion Collection.
I just want a free subscription, man.
I don't blame you, man. For $15 a month, that's a lot.
Yeah, give me a free subscription.
Give us a free subscription, you sons of bitches. We'll fucking plug your shit.
I feel like I could have gotten a free Netflix subscription if I'd been a little bit, because I got the screener, because now Netflix has really finally improved their screeners for press. It used to be that we had to go watch it streaming on a website that was really shitty. But now what they do is you start up you start up the Netflix thing, and you give them your email address, and then they'll just put it for you in your carousel. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So you open up the app and it's actually there, and it plays like just any other thing. You just have to enter a PIN to access it, right? Because it's locked. And it's much, much, much better than what they were doing before. But then they're like, we'll set up a Netflix account for you. I'm like, well, I already have one. Like, great. And it's like, I could have got great.
Yeah, they should have. I think they have press. I know they have press accounts for Hulu.
Yeah, no, they do.
But with all of that said, I think this year will be known as the year the streaming wars have begun.
Oh God!
Because
it's gonna be a bloodbath. It really
is. And the biggest issue with all of that is that consumers are going to be so fucking confused because making these choices, for years and years, the one benefit I guess you could say to cable is that like you pay for cable and you get this fucking slew of channels. You don't have to think about it or worry about it. Now you kind of have to curate your own collection of streaming services that you want to subscribe to. And I guarantee there's gonna be a lot of people, like by the time they've subscribed to all, say somebody just runs the gamut and gets everything, it's going to be the same as their cable bill.
Oh, it sure is. I mean, I was already
like, why did I cancel cable? Now I'm paying for all these streaming services, and it's the same fucking price.
Well, after the first Criterion bill came in, that actually kind of made me go back and say, well, what am I subscribing to? What do I really need? And I was, Shudder. I've never used Shudder once, so I canceled it. And it's not really my thing. So, You know, I've never watched anything on it, you know. So but Netflix, yeah, I really like Netflix and Amazon Prime. Not even for the shows so much. I just love the shipping. You know, that's great. That makes it
for sure.
And the shows, everything that is just like a
Prime has a really nice selection of movies too.
Yeah,
they have a better selection of movies than Netflix.
Not as much in Canada, I don't think. But they do have a lot of stuff. But like I watched The Fifth Element on Prime last week and In Bruges, you know, so they do have good movies. But
I tend to find like and it's very much, to me, Amazon Prime is kind of like walking the fucking shelves of blockbusters.
Yeah, there's a lot of crap on Amazon Prime too, but there's good stuff as well. But I just find it's not really featured well. I don't really like the app that much. I mean, we have Crave in Canada, which is really worth the money because it's only $20 a month, and you get HBO Go and Showtime and Stars and all these things bundled together. But the problem is the app is so shitty because it's just not well designed at all. Yeah. Like, for instance, I've been watching the show Succession, right? Yeah. Every time I start the show, I have to go back, I have to search for the show, and I have to put it in, and I have to choose the episode that I watched. It's not like a good app, which will just pick up where you left off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where Netflix really succeeds, is like you can, log on and pick right up.
Very, very user friendly. Yeah. And it's just,
and I think that's going to be a big thing when it comes to the streaming wars. I think people are going to be sticking with the ones that have an ease of use. I have no idea what the interface of Disney Plus or Warner Media or Apple is going to be like. But if it's not, I imagine Apple will probably be very consistent with what they have now with their Apple products. But, until you use it and see how it functions, it's hard to say. But I guarantee you, people will be like, man, I fucking hate just even navigating through this shit to watch one goddamn show. I'm done.
They are going to start, though. I think it's going to become a much bigger thing, like Apple's going to be doing already, is bundling services together, right? So, Disney and Hulu are going to be a bundle because it's the same owner, and I think that you kind of have to do that at a certain point because it's going to be too hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a confusing thing for a lot of consumers.
It's just selecting. Be a big year for Netflix, though, because Netflix is not included in any of the bundles. They're going it alone, and it's going to be interesting to see how they weather that.
Well, and the good thing with Netflix, though, they have an advantage because they got their foothold in early, and they've already established a ton of shows that people are addicted to.
Well, not only that, but I mean, everybo's got a Netflix account. Like I know one person who doesn't have a Netflix account, and that's because he's crazy and he's into physical media, and I only like his.
It's got to be Paps.
Media slobs. No, it's not Paps. Paps will get anything. But it's one friend of mine who's really nuts about movies, but he only will collect Blu-rays and DVDs because he wants to have the physical copy. But
there's
at the
end
a lot
of people like
at the end of the year, though, he's like, for Netflix, because the Netflix stuff doesn't come out in DVD and Blu-ray, and at the end of the year, he's always sniffing around my place because I get screeners from Netflix, some DVDs from them. So which I don't care about, right? They just go in a box in the corner.
Y'all got any more of them DVDs?
Well, he'll just be like, "Oh, hey, mind if I take this? Yeah, can I go? Yeah, oh, Roma. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I wanted to see that, and it's like, oh, okay, fine."
If you had Netflix, you could watch that anytime.
Well, I brought him a whole bag of them at Christmas time, right? And it was like, and he was like a pagan shit rolling around. He's like, ah! But it was just like, but it was just like, dude, man, it's Netflix, dude. I'll pay for your first month. You'll love it. You have to try it. He says he knows that he'll love it, but it's just, dude, it's so easy. I mean, everybody has it. My grandfather, who's 95 years old, has it. I mean, it's just, it's so embedded in the culture. Everybody's got it.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interesting year to see how that all comes out, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to. There's just it's a lot of content, and I already can't keep up.
It's the licensing that's going to be an issue, though, because everybody's going to be only doing their own thing, and and like Warner's has a deep catalog. Like I would say that they were probably going to be the losers in it, but their catalog is so deep. Who knows? It's funny if anybody.
I'm sure they're going to come into it with something. You know what I'm saying? Like
the ones with the least buzz, funny enough, is Apple. And which isn't what you would think, but those shows better be damn good. That's the thing.
And that's the other thing too, is like none of the shows seem like, oh my god. I mean, I'm interested to see the C one with Jason Momoa. I think that looks cool, but
I'm interested to see the morning news one with Steve Carell and Aniston and Witherspoon. But that's also a show that's kind of niche, right?
Yeah, and it's also something that could just not be very good. Like first episode, you'd be like, well, this ain't for me.
Well, it could be the newsroom. It could be the newsroom.
So
and that would be a shame because I think there's.
And they're like, "Hey, we got Oprah," and it's like, okay. I mean, Oprah's a fucking icon.
Yeah,
and that's great. But it's like she's got her fingers in so many damn pies. It's kind of like almost like, well, of course you have Oprah. Yeah. That's not exactly an ace in the hole. Like, well, and Oprah doesn't need Apple either. I
found it really weird that was Spielberg doing the intro to that. A day after slamming Netflix, and then it's like, so you're gonna get TV from Spielberg? Like, when has Steven Spielberg, besides the HBO stuff that he did with Hanks, when has he ever really produced excellent TV? I mean, he did Band of Brothers and The Pacific, which I'd argue is more Tom Hanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Than Spielberg. Yeah. It's what has he ever done that was really great? Seaquest.
Well, and they're doing amazing stories.
Amazing stories flopped in 1985.
Well,
though.
And again, and that's I know, and it's one of those things where I'm just like,
it wasn't that good of a show. It wasn't that good of a show. That's
going with a rebooted fucking show that failed. Okay.
People are not, people look back. There were
There
were a couple fun, amazing stories episodes, but it wasn't anything great. I mean,
listen, you and I both know there's going to be casualties in this fucking streaming.
Oh, absolutely.
There's going to be shows that fucking flop hard, and I know that we're kind of used to like everything's a big success because they don't report numbers. There's no Nielsen, there's no anything for these streaming shows. And there's no reason for them to report it unless they wanted to. Unless you're
gonna know though, because stuff is gonna drop off, and it's also gonna be
exactly. And stuff's gonna suck. Like there's gonna be stuff that comes out, and you're like, wow, this is just not very good. And with so much coming, you can't expect everything to be great, and there's just no way that it's gonna be.
Well, I remember I read something about Netflix. Some company that like checks the engagements on Netflix or something like that did a report on the Marvel shows. And if you look at like the impact they made in season 1 versus the impact they made in season 2 for every show, it's crazy how much they dropped off. Yeah. Like a significant amount. People were curious and then they got less curious, and you really have to do something to keep people around, and it's true. I mean, hopefully, not everybody can have like a Stranger Things or a Game of Thrones, and that's a big challenge for HBO now that Game of Thrones is gone, because that is their bread and butter.
Well, they're getting right back into Game of Thrones. You could argue
they are, but it's just, that's the thing. Like those shows are under a lot of pressure to succeed, and they've got 5 pilots going, and yeah. I'm sure one of them will pick up and will be good, but it's not just, you can't just slap the name Game of Thrones on it though either. You have to have the quality.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, it's, a lot of it is cast too for Game of Thrones as well. I mean, you look back at that cast is top shelf.
Fucking dynamite, bro.
Well, I'm looking at the new prequel cast, and so far it's a lot of no names. Although then again, it was a lot of no names for Game of Thrones as well. So
yeah. You got to keep that in mind. There was all the people that we come to love and know now, like even Momoa. That was really his first thing that I ever noticed. Definitely Emilia Clarke. That was her first work ever. And fucking Kit Harington, like I couldn't tell you anything he did before that. So there were familiar faces that popped in, but I think most of the bigger stars that came out of Game of Thrones was forged at Game of Thrones.
For me, one of the things that kind of made Game of Thrones so great though is kind of the supporting cast of old-timey character actors and actresses. Yeah. And I really liked that, and I liked how some of them emerged, because I only really started watching Game of Thrones the last 6 months, right? And and it's funny because it leads right into a news story. So one of the characters that I like the most is Jorah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Jorah.
Glenn's character, I find has kind of had a really interesting arc, and but he was around for ages beforehand. Like he was a well-known stage actor, and he was he was in a couple movies. He was the bad guy in Tomb Raider, but he never really had that role that kind of catapulted him the way that Game of Thrones has. Game of Thrones has been I would say that's probably been the best role he's ever had. And but it's interesting now, though, that so on Titans, he's going to be Bruce Wayne, which seems like strange casting, but almost makes me want to watch that show now because I've never watched it before. But I kind of like that casting.
It's like a guilty pleasure kind of show, because it's almost as if they let Zack Snyder go and make his dark version of DC in a TV show. It's very bloody. It's violent. It's like there's swearing. There's nudity, like it's very hardcore, to be quite honest. But I think it's cool because Ian Glenn is so awesome, and I think he would be a great older Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yeah, it seems a little silly though. I mean, from what I've seen about it, and it's just, I mean, I'm, but I do kind of like
the there's totally silly. There's totally silly shit. But I will say this: it is fun, and I would go back and watch more episodes if I could. I just need to remember my login for my DC Universe on the app, and I've just been too lazy. And each time I've tried to go back and watch it, I've just gotten too lazy to find my login. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'll watch something else.
I mean, I feel like honestly, I'll probably never watch it, to be honest. It's been on Crave for a while now, and I just kind of haven't really come around to it. But
it's not bad. It's super cheesy. It's it's junk food, That's really what Titans is. You can't take it seriously, like this is some serious DC Universe stuff. It's like, nah, not really. It's junk food, It's McDonald's drive-through TV, and sometimes that's just what you need, and that's fine.
I do like the idea of him though, and it's funny. I was thinking the other day, it's like he would be a great Alfred in like a Batman movie, right? Like if you were to do like the tough Alfred, like kind of the vet Alfred. But
yeah, I agree.
I like him. I like him a lot, though. He's kind of a cool actor, and I like a lot of those actors. And it's funny though. My girlfriend and I, we watched Kit Harington host Saturday Night Live last week, and kind of we've been going back and forth like who we think is going to have a career outside of Game of Thrones, who's going to really explode. And interesting. I think that Emilia Clarke's probably going to have a pretty good career. She's got that George Michael musical coming.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I saw the trailer for that at CinemaCon.
Oh, really? Wasn't that hot?
I mean, it looks fine, but it's just so like it looks like almost like it'd be a TV show.
Yeah.
Because the way that it's put together I was like, okay, it's interesting. Good actors, and Emma Thompson like wrote it, and Paul Feig directed it, and it's it looks fine, but it just looks like it doesn't know what it is. I'm like, so is this just a movie about two people that fall in love, or is there something more to it?
Well, it's the George Michael music. I think that's
it's very really basic.
It's all it's like the Mamma Mia of George Michael, right?
I guess, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's anything special outside of, hey, look, it's Emilia Clarke, and she's kind of playing this aloof British chick, and she falls in love.
Yeah.
And she's very like, I don't want to be with somebody. I'm too independent. Oh. And I don't know. It didn't come together for me.
It's funny. The one I'm not sure about is Harington. Like it's kind of, we've been joking all week that, we don't think that Snow is going to get killed off because inevitably there's going to be a Game of Thrones sequel show, whether it happens now or whether it happens in 10 years or whether it happens in 20 years. He will play Jon Snow again.
Unless he's dead.
Yeah, but even then, though, who knows? I mean, they're talking about bringing Bryan Cranston back as Walter White, I mean, and he was definitively dead. So,
well, but that's the beauty. It's the beauty of fiction.
Game of Thrones. It's fantasy too. I mean, you. Can
I know that's what I'm saying.
They already did.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's the beauty of fiction is that you don't have to live in the confines of real life rules. You can do whatever you want. Like people are like, well, how are they going to come back in a comic book movie if they're dead? And I'm like, have you ever read a comic book? Like Captain America's died like 5 fucking times in the comics. Like
it's funny.
It's fucking the last time he was killed, he was shot by a fucking sniper rifle and killed and bleed to death on the fucking stairs. And then here he is. Steve Rogers is back. So anybody.
Of all the Game of Thrones actors, I mean, the one I think is probably going to break the biggest is probably Madden. But he got out so early though that he's not as identified with the character as everybody else is. Like I feel like a lot of them are really strongly identified with the characters that they play. Like it's going to be hard for me to almost accept Kit Harington and anything else, or even Emilia Clarke. These people they've become the characters that they play to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but Madden can fucking act his ass off.
Well, and that was the thing, though. But he was in it. He got killed off so early, though, that he's not as associated with it. It's the same thing. Dan.
He got 3 seasons in.
Well, it's a little bit like Dan Stevens in Downton Abbey. Like he left at probably just the right time. Like it was kind of. Anyway.
Didn't his character die?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw the Downton Abbey trailer at Cinema.
Oh yeah, how does it look? I'm actually really excited.
All I can say, this is the thing. I've never watched Downton Abbey.
What? Downton Abbey? What the hell is the matter with you?
I don't know. But all I can say is I knew nothing of they kept showing these characters and these characters coming back. Like this butler guy comes back. They're like, we need you. And
Carson.
Okay, whatever. So he comes back, and it just shows like the kitchen staff, and obviously people that everybody identified with. Now my girlfriend, she watches it, so all I can say is I know nothing about Downton Abbey, but by the time the trailer was over, like my girlfriend was clapping, cheering, and I think she may have been crying too. So
I'm telling you, if Downton Abbey comes to TIFF, man, you've got to get me into that junket. I gotta freak out, man.
So the premise of it is that it's like they have like I guess a little further into the future, not future obviously, but like they have like cars now, like cars are pulling up to Downton Abbey.
No, but I don't think it's actually that far because Downton Abbey ended in the early 30s.
So that's what I mean. It's not that far, but they're like one character, one of the guys, I don't know who the fuck he is. He pulls up in the car and they're like, "Oh, you're showing up in one of these things." He's like, "Yes, I can't always be using horses."
It can't be that far in the future though, because they'd be too old. The characters, like they're all.
It's not. But the premise is that the king and queen are coming to stay at Downton Abbey. So
chronologically, the thing is, like they've kind of let that go too, because the Dowager Countess, played by the grandmama, played by Maggie Smith, her character, if you look at the chronology of the show, would be well over 100.
Right.
And they kind of let it go, right?
Well, she's in the movie too, so
of course she's in the movie. Of course she's in the movie.
They're
100% gonna campaign so hard for her for Best Supporting Actress.
Well, all I can say is everybody was really excited that watched the show. I wasn't not excited in terms of like, I mean, I think it looks fine, but I'm just not invested in the show. So I just couldn't enjoy the same hype that my girlfriend had.
Okay. So CinemaCon.
CinemaCon.
Before we get into any of the other trailers, the one I need to ask you about is probably one of my most anticipated movies of the year, Knives Out, the Rian Johnson.
Got some bad news for you. What? I did not see the presentation for Knives Out because I was on the red carpet interviewing. So I missed the Lionsgate very brief presentation, so I didn't see anything for Knives Out. But I did interview Jamie Lee Curtis, Ana de Armas, and they gave us some details about the movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis plays Don Johnson's wife. Lucky girl.
So yeah, it's basically it sounds to me like this is going to be a thriller that all takes place in this house with this very dysfunctional family that is basically all trying to like, maneuver around and fuck each other over in some way. So again, Knives Out, like basically it's like this family that is like got their knives out for each other. Yeah. And it's just all of these characters and it's very mysterious. Somebody gets killed and then it's kind of a murder mystery thing. And I even joked around with Jamie Lee Curtis after she told me all this. And I was like, this isn't a remake of Clue, is it? She's like, no. But I mean, that's pretty much what it sounded like to me when she was describing it. I was like, so is it Clue?
I kind of like that, though. I mean, it's an old type,
very much
a style movie. Yeah, and I love the cast.
It's a good fit for Rian Johnson, I think, much so than being in the Star Wars universe, but whatever.
But I mean, you got Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Lakeith Stanfield, Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Plummer, Don Johnson.
Ana de Armas, who is just lovely in person. She's like a doll.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, it sounds good, but again, I didn't see any.
That's another one, man. If they play that at TIFF, you got to get me into the junket. DJ.
You and DJ, man. You always gotta. I gotta talk to Don Johnson.
We're tight, man.
Don Johnson.
I mean, we'll be hanging out anyway if he's at TIFF, but still.
I'll be sitting behind him, breathing very heavily in his ear.
He's my buddy.
Can I help you? That's my Don Johnson.
Southern. He's not really a Southern guy.
I always imagine he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's all I got for Knives Out.
All right. So another one that I'm kind of excited for too, just because it seems so stupid but enjoyably stupid, like all the movies. Yeah, I think you know what I'm probably gonna say.
No.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh my God, the Hobbs and Shaw trailer they played at CinemaCon is so fucking bonkers crazy. It's like every fucking action movie trope you've ever seen ever, as played on Rick and Morty interdimensional cable, put into a movie, and is so batshit fucking crazy. I was like, oh my God, there's just no way that Hobbs and Shaw is not the most fun movie of the summer. It's just no fucking way anything is gonna be able to top the fucking absolute craziness that movie is going to be.
It's funny though, because, the Fast and Furious movies, I mean, that takes me way back. You know, in the first movie, you know, they were stealing DVD players, right? That
it was so like a remake of Point Break.
A bad remake of Point Break. Nowhere near as good as Point Break. And the second one fucking sucked. It was on TV the other day.
Okay, that's so
third one was where it started to kind of get fun a little bit because that's where Justin Lin came in. But I remember really not liking the fourth one at all when I went to see it in theaters. And I worked for a DVD authoring company for a while, so I helped with the authoring on the Fast and Furious DVD, and I had to watch it a bunch of times. And I remember being bored out of my skull. But then
Fast 5 changed the game.
It was like, what is this? And it was so ridiculous. And they leaned in so much to just the chaos of it and the madness of it.
They made an action movie. They got out of the whole, hey, we're thieves.
The more crazy they get, and the more insane and the more ridiculous it gets, the more I enjoy it.
I gotta say, man, I feel like Hobbs and Shaw has raised the bar even over the fucking Fast and Furious franchise.
Well, like, I mean, the Fate of the Furious when The Rock, you know, throws the missile, you know.
This one just looks crazier, but it actually looks more inventive too. Like they go back to Hobbs's hometown, like in the in Samoa, and like he's with his brothers and everything. And there's a scene where they're like, "Hey, we got to defend ourselves against fucking Idris and his fucking army. They're coming to get us." And Hobbs is like, "Mom," he's like, "I need my weapons." And they open up like this huge shelf of like a weapons cache. And there's no guns. It's all like Samoan weapons, like swords and knives and fucking all this shit. And he's like, "Mama, what'd you do with my weapons?" She's like, "Oh, I got rid of those forever." And he was like, "Fuck." And so instead of like them trying to like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna have to get some guns in here," they used the Samoan weapons. So there's like this, like just batshit crazy scene where there's like all these Samoan guys as well as Shaw using the Samoan weapons versus Idris Elba's character, and it's just like. It feels like an old like Schwarzenegger fucking or Stallone movie mashed up. It just looks crazy.
Who's mastered the edged weapons, as you saw recently? I went axe throwing, and there is a purity to the edged weaponry. You know?
There is, but it looks cool. I mean, that's what I mean. It's not. It feels like they really put some effort into creating just some really fun. Insane action. And
I mean, if The Rock is going to go over as like a serious action star, which I'd argue he never really has. I mean, you know, to a degree, he's a star and stuff like that, but in mostly kind of family oriented. Even the Fast and Furious movies, as much as I love The Rock in the Fast and Furious movies, he's not the star of those movies. I mean, it's very much the Vin Diesel show, right? And it's kind of. That's the movie I think that if anything ever puts over like Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham as like really legit like A-list action stars, it's gonna be Hobbs or Shaw. It's gonna be nothing.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. I hope they release that trailer. I really hope they release that trailer for everybody to see because it is fucking insane. But it was pretty long, so I don't know if they will. I think it was like 5 minutes long.
I feel like Statham is gonna become though like the next kind of like Liam Neeson, not in like in regards to saying something racist, but I think like he's probably gonna become like the next like older action star because he's about 50 now, and it's funny. The older he's gotten, the more kind of his popularity has gone up. You know, he had his first really big solo hit last year with The Meg, which was a terrible fucking movie. But yeah, and they're making a sequel, unfortunately.
Oh.
If he's smart, he'll stay away. But you know, it was kind of one of those things. Like it seems like he's having a moment almost where he's kind of coming into his own finally as he gets older. You know, so I could see him kind of playing that for the next 10 years. You know, the older action star. I'm very curious about Hobbs and Shaw, though. I think it looks really fun. But
you'll see that trailer, you'll fucking lose your mind.
My girlfriend just brought me a nice cup of coffee with some. Is that Bailey's?
Oh shit! Chris got the Baileys in the house. Now this podcast can really start.
I thought.
Did you not snort your lines before you started, like usual?
No, I'm off that for another week or so.
For another week
until my next planned relapse around Easter Sunday. Bunny Wabbit's gonna bring a couple tweets.
You stupid. So there's a couple other things I saw at CinemaCon that I thought were really cool. And I think one of the bigger ones was some footage from Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. You know, okay, now let me ask you something, because I've read all the reports and everything. I'm getting the impression that Schwarzenegger is not playing a very big role.
That's the impression I got from the footage as well. He's in the footage. Obviously,
Is he doing stuff in it, or is he?
Yeah. I mean, there's a scene where he like kicks in a door, and you can see that he's already like battle damaged. So his whole left arm is the skeleton, the endoskeleton.
Okay, so he's playing a Terminator though. They haven't done a thing.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely a Terminator.
Okay.
And then there's a scene where him and Sarah Connor are both shooting at something together. So they're like, side by side fighting something. But it definitely feels like Mackenzie Davis's character is a big presence because she's like the protector. So that's her job. So we saw the whole scene where she arrives on Earth, and she arrives in Mexico City, and it shows like the whole, the Terminator bubble where they travel from the future. And she's, stark naked, and these two, I guess like 20 something teens, Mexican teens, pick her up. And they're trying to help her. And then the cops pull up and they see, hey, what are you doing with this naked woman? And then she beats the fuck out of the cops, and she does it. It's a very different than kind of the Terminators we've seen before. It's always been very kind of a slow, methodical kill. And she's very fast, like very precise. Like,
you think she's playing a Terminator though?
Well, yeah, because she's got like all these scars and everything. So I think there's more mystery to her, but she's like mechanical, because you see her vision. So like there's a point where she's like, they're dragging her because she's like disoriented or whatever. And then when the cops show up, she like has Terminator vision. So she's obviously some kind of Terminator, cyborg, something. And she's able to dispatch them very quickly and fucks them up, but she doesn't kill them. So that's another aspect to it that we know of anyways. I mean, but it's not like brutal, like pulling their hearts out or anything.
Because I mean, I've heard that apparently even Linda Hamilton, like that neither of them play a massive role in the movie.
I don't know. I feel like Linda Hamilton does. We see next scene.
She gets the "I'll be back" line.
Yeah. So the next scene, they jump just right to the next scene, and it's another scene on an overpass, and we see the Gabriel Luna's character, who plays the main Terminator, the bad guy Terminator. He's like really like battle damaged. There's a wreck behind him on fire, and you see him like reforming, and it's just like the T-1000, with the liquid metal stuff. But what this Terminator can do is he can separate himself into two Terminators. So his endoskeleton can actually step out while he is the liquid Terminator. So it's like they're meshed together.
So they figured out a new thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the thing is, I'm always wary of a Terminator movie, to be honest, because, there have been two great Terminator movies, but then everything else has been really bad. 3 has its moments, but I mean, last two.
But this is a direct sequel to Terminator 2. So it's ignoring everything else.
So was Terminator Salvation, was it?
Well, that was a prequel, though.
No. Salvation was set like it was after Terminator 2, because Terminator 2, it was kind of a prequel and a sequel.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
but it all takes place in the future.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm very kind of.
Well, anyways, bottom line is
looks cool though, right?
I think it does, and I think a lot of that has to do with Tim Miller, and I think a lot of it has to do with Linda Hamilton being back.
Sure.
It looks like she hasn't missed a beat. She has a great action scene where she like saves the day and steps out, and she's like, the same badass using all these different weapons and blowing shit up, and you're just like,
it would be really cool. I don't know if he's still alive, but if they could get Brad Fiedel back to do the music.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be Junkie XL.
Oh, that's pretty cool though.
So, but yeah, Tim Miller came out at CinemaCon, and he's like, I don't know if we've ever talked about him, but Tim Miller is a very emotional guy. And like when we interviewed him on the set of Deadpool years ago, and he legit cries a lot.
Yeah.
And he cried while we were interviewing him, and he cried on stage at CinemaCon, like not like, ugly cry, but more like just emotional, because he just gets so wrapped up, and he gets choked up talking about it, and he just sounds like he has a real genuine passion for what he did, and I think that's going to show. And the footage we saw looked really cool. It was like cool action stuff. Like
Polish Schwarzenegger, stop whining.
Well, then Arnold took the stage after he came out, and he talked about all kinds of silly shit. And then he said, "You go see Terminator, Dark Fate. I've seen this movie. It is an amazing movie. I know I said the same thing. I said the same thing for Terminator Genesis, and it was terrible. It was a terrible movie. But I tell you, Terminator Dark Fate will be so good. It's gonna be the best time at the movies. Yeah. See you at the party, Richter. No. No, Terminator Dark Fate looks cool.
I hope so.
I
really. I mean, obviously, I'm going to see it. Even if what the thing is, even if the reviews,
Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, even if the reviews were saying this is the worst movie ever made, I would probably still go see it just because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, I grew up idolizing the guy. I mean, I've seen God. I saw that one with when who's killing Gunther.
Fuck, I didn't even see that. I have a DVD.
Oh boy. Is that a bad movie or what?
I believe it. So a couple other things I saw that I'll just mention. I saw Sonic trailer, Sonic the Hedgehog. They showed 2 trailers for that, and I gotta say, I really think it's going to be a really great showcase for Jim Carrey because he's playing the villain, and
it'd be nice to see him back doing like a comedy though.
Well, and that's what it is. It's like it's Jim Carrey being like funny Jim Carrey again. And he looks like he's just having a fucking blast. And he's so prominent that they played the Sonic trailer and he was like barely featured in it. And so Jim Carrey came out on stage and he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, play the real trailer. And then they played a trailer that was all about the villain. And it was just really funny. Like, it was like, holy shit, Jim Carrey's kind of back. And that's like a role we want to see him in. So I think it shows a lot of promise in terms of the way Sonic looked. He looked like, a lot of what the pictures leaked already, and he looks fine to me. I don't really give a fuck. So
they didn't show anything for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I guess.
No, nothing. Not a shred for that. They had posters up and everything, but they didn't show anything. The other one, the one movie that I was really like, fuck yeah, surprisingly, was Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman.
Oh yeah, I'm very curious to see that.
Great. It's very much like Snatch. That kind of movie. It's got Charlie Hunnam. It's got Hugh Grant playing like this super fucking, like dirty fucking Guy Ritchie scumbag kind of character. Like it's just you can just tell he's gonna be great. Like he's just eating up the scenery. And then you have Colin Farrell doing a similar thing.
He can be really good when he gets the chance, Grant. And Farrell, I'll watch in anything. It's funny, I rewatched In Bruges last week.
Oh, yeah, he's so good in that.
Which is a masterpiece. That movie is really a masterpiece. And, I mean, I love Colin Farrell. I think he's one of the most underrated actors out there. I loved him in Dumbo.
Yeah, when they cut him loose, he can be really great.
He's one of the best, I think.
And I feel like he's really going to shine in The Gentleman. Like, this feels like a Guy Ritchie movie with like the characters, like the Guy Ritchie characters.
Well, it's
Colin Farrell's got he's got like a shaved head and these horrible glasses, and he's talking in his normal accent, and he's just like,
who's that? Who has that?
Colin Farrell.
How about, and McConaughey's in it too, I guess? Or
yeah, Matthew McConaughey is like a weed dealer, but he's not playing like a beach bum type character. He's very much a straight laced like villainous, like suave bad guy. So
who looks like the star? Like who's the?
I feel like Charlie Hunnam. It kind of is like the center that it revolves around. But with the Guy Ritchie movie, they're kind of spread out.
Yeah, who knows?
It's hard to say, but I feel like Charlie Hunnam, he's playing kind of against type because he's playing a little more of a, I don't want to say nerdy, but just not. He's not playing like a badass. Yeah. He's playing kind of like the more straight laced guy, which is good. I think, it sells perfect. But the cast just looks great. The action looks great. The dialogue is fucking cracking.
It's funny because I also really liked Rock and Roller, which was
Rock and Roller was great. I love Rock and Roller.
Yeah, it wasn't really that well received, but I thought it was actually really fun.
It's really good. There's a line, and there's stuff that it's like, holy shit, I can't believe they said that, but it's really funny. There's a part where there's Colin Farrell's like at a boxing gym, and he's next to this boxer who's a black guy. And then there's another white guy in the ring, and he's like talking shit, and he's like, why don't you shut up, you black cunt? And the black boxer's like, what? He's like, turns to Colin Farrell, he's like, I'm pretty sure that was racist what he just said. And then Colin Farrell's like, well, to be fair, you're black and you're a cunt. It's like fucking so hilarious. And there's like shit like that. I was like, holy fuck, this is like Guy Ritchie back in his lane. It's hilarious.
It's funny. The only Guy Ritchie movie, well, I mean, there was the Madonna one, but then the only one that I could think of that was really awful was Revolver. when he was
and I never even saw that one.
That was his like Kabbalah movie that was all based around like the teachings of Kabbalah. It's kind of embarrassing, you know. Then he got divorced, and then he started getting good again.
He's like, "What the fuck was I doing, Madonna? I made some stupid shit." Yeah, but I mean, The Gentleman just feels like, fuck yeah, this is the Guy Ritchie we want.
Although funny enough, Revolver was the first movie I really remember Mark Strong in. He was kind of cool in it. He was like this kind of nebbish hitman who like is kind of, he can't miss, and then he turns good at the end. But he's got this one bad hair plug in the middle of his head. But I loved him in Rock and Roller, and I really loved Rock and Roller a lot.
Yeah, Rock and Roller's really good.
I really liked Tom Wilkinson kind of playing against type as like the kind of scumbaggy villain.
Yeah.
Toby Kebbell I thought was great in that movie. I liked.
Yeah, that was the first time I noticed Toby Kebbell.
Butler, I felt, was a little bit miscast, almost a little too straight-laced for a Guy Ritchie movie. Loved Tom Hardy in it. Loved Thandie Newton in it. I like that movie a lot. I
kind of want to revisit it now.
I was actually thinking about maybe for the best movie you never saw.
I think that'd be a good contender. Oh. Yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping that the Guy Ritchie one maybe comes to TIFF, but I'm thinking now that they might hold it to 2020 because he's got Aladdin out this year. They might hold that spring.
Well, we saw a whole scene from Aladdin, and the whole scene where he gets the genie first comes out and everything. And I gotta be honest, like, I'm not a huge fan of the animated movie.
Really? I love the animated.
I don't really give a shit. It's fine. I mean, it's a Disney cartoon. It's like, yeah, it's good. But like, there's a lot of like kind of negative stuff going towards it. And I'm just like, I don't understand why. It looks just like the goddamn cartoon, like the whole dance number, everything. It's got all the same energy. It looks very accurate and
kind of bent over backwards too to kind of make it, diverse and stuff like I'm finding people are picking on it. It's like, it seems like they've got their hearts in the right place though, and they're doing, it looks like it's well cast and appropriate actors. It's Will Smith is the genie. That's the big thing for me. If it wasn't for him, because the thing is, if
who would you want, Jack Black?
Well, no, I mean the thing is, if Robin Williams was still alive, that he would be recreating that role. Right, the same way that James Earl Jones is playing Mufasa again in The Lion King. Yeah. That it would be Robin Williams, and I think it's just that people are having a really hard time getting over the fact that it's not Robin Williams because he was so iconic in that part for a generation of people too that grew up watching that movie over and over and over again. It was this role that was really kind of internalized by people, and I was kind of one of them, and big shoes to fill for Will Smith, but it's
I think he'll do fine. I mean, maybe people won't go see it. I don't know, but I mean, it looks exactly like the fucking animated movie.
People will go see it.
It's the same thing with Lion King. It's exactly like the animated movie.
It's funny that the backlash against Lion King is only kind of really started this week because people don't like Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. They're kind of wishing that it was Jeremy Irons, which is kind of like, why isn't it Jeremy Irons?
It's true. I don't know why it's not.
Because what they were trying to do is, I think they're trying to cast the lions black because it's in Africa, but it's like, which is a good idea, I think, for, Simba and Nala and stuff. And, and Mufasa, it definitely works. But maybe Scar, you want to have Jeremy Irons? Because, like, who could do better?
I guess. Why not just cast the best fucking person?
Yeah, who could do better than Jeremy Irons?
Fucking they're lions that talk, for God's sake.
He's not quite menacing sounding enough. Chiwetel Ejiofor sounds. But unless maybe Idris Elba would have been good too. But it's
just he did Shere Khan though. Like,
I feel like he doesn't want to do that.
He's like, oh, you want me to voice another fucking animal?
Yeah,
exactly. Is that all you think of me? I'm an animal. I can't be James Bond.
Kind of done.
That was my Idris Elba. That was pretty good.
Nah. Idris is more like this. He's a lad. He's a lad.
He's more. I won't be James Bond.
No, he's a lad, mate.
Hey, fuck you.
That's him.
Yeah, cunt. Trying to think if there's anything else CinemaCon wise. Oh, the last one I'll talk about. And Chris, remember you said you don't get too hyped over trailers. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, when you see the trailer for Ford versus Ferrari,
I'm pants. Very curious. I love James Mangold, and I love that cast, and I'm sure that'll be a pretty. It does sound like
fucking amazing.
I mean, that is kind of a movie that is right up my alley, though. To be honest,
dude, I guarantee you, we're gonna talk on this podcast when that trailer drops, and you're gonna be like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
The performances look amazing. Christian Bale, and and Matt Damon as Carol Shelby. You got fucking John Bernthal as Lee Iacocca.
Oh.
It's basically you got this historical thing, which is the fuck that I forget the name of the race, but right, Le Mans 64, where Ford wanted to get into the race. It's basically the creation of the Ford GT, and it's like they're trying out all these cars, so it's almost like it's this mix of all these genres, like the Aviator and all the biographical race movies like Rush and stuff like that, and Days of Thunder, like all of these just kind of mashed together with these great fucking actors. And they're all like just hamming it up, playing these real life people. And the race scenes look amazing. There's crazy crashes, and it's very like fast paced, but still dramatic. And it's got that punch. It's got that scene chewing greatness.
It's also that era is so kind of cool too, though. And if you read about it, F1 was so dangerous up until just about 20 years ago, and it does tell, there's some really fascinating stories. And, I love Grand Prix, the movie Grand Prix with James Garner is great. And, the fact that these guys really took their lives into their hands every time they raced, is very probable almost that you would die, and I loved the documentary, Senna. Did you ever see that?
Yeah. Years ago.
Like, I thought that was a great movie. And a really dramatic story, and and one of the better documentary. And it's not even something that I'm super interested in. I don't watch Formula One comes to Montreal. It's a big deal here.
Yeah.
And I don't even go to it. But it does seem like an interesting movie though. And Michael Mann was trying to make that movie for a long time, and it never quite worked out.
It almost feels like a Michael Mann movie, but Mangold knows his way around. He knows his way around this genre. So
Mangold is a legit director, and he's kind of been like the potential there to kind of pop up and get to the next level. Speaking of Mann, though, some news broke that pissed me off the other day. So Cary Fukunaga is apparently producing like a TV series based on Last of the Mohicans, and it's just why. I mean, the movie itself is so good. It's Daniel Day-Lewis, Madeline Stowe, and it's diverse. You've got the excellent Indian actor, Wes Studi, Russell Means, the famous activist who plays the dad. What was the dad's name again? It was
I don't remember.
And it was really
Daniel Day-Lewis's name is Hawkeye.
Yeah, but that last scene at the end of the movie where the dad's character takes on the Magua. Well, as the music's playing after his son gets killed. Oh, yeah. It's great. Like, I got chills just thinking about it, and it's
such a heartbreaking scene.
And then he goes for revenge and he kills him, right? And they have like the tomahawk fight, and I mean it's insane. And then the music is so good. Like, I just don't understand why, if you're gonna do a limited series, why you would choose that, because it was done so perfectly. I don't see how anybody could possibly be better than Daniel Day-Lewis was in that part. I don't see how anybody could possibly direct it better than Michael Mann did. I don't see how the music. I don't get it. It's the same thing as the Hannah series that they're doing for Amazon, which I haven't watched yet, and it's just. It looks to me, and after talking to Alex about it, that they took everything that was really cool about the movie, which was this crazy propulsive energy and the score by the Chemical Brothers, and
it was about style.
Yeah, and the off-kilter and made it really kind of standard and boring. And it's just, why would you? What's the point? I just don't get it. I mean, maybe they've got this crazy take on it that, but I don't know, man. It's just like I just don't get it. To me, like that is it's like when they remade Manhunter, as Red Dragon.
Yeah.
And I mean,
which I didn't mind, but it was no
Manhunter though. I mean, you watch Manhunter and it's like not even a tenth as good as Manhunter is, and it's just crazy.
Well,
I'll tell you, unpopular opinion. Well, I don't know if I can fully get behind this, but if you just watch Silence of the Lambs, yes, Anthony Hopkins is the best Hannibal Lecter. But if you watch Hannibal and Red Dragon, Brian Cox is the best Hannibal Lecter.
He's okay. He's no Anthony Hopkins.
He's just lower key, though. He's just lower key, and I kind of like that.
I wouldn't trade him for Anthony Hopkins.
Not if you watch Silence of the Lambs, no. But, the other movies, I don't know. I'll never forget that, going to see Hannibal in theaters, because I loved Silence of the Lambs so much, but I was so terrified going into Hannibal, even as like a 20-year-old when it came out, that I remember kind of like almost cowering in my seat when he came onto screen at the beginning, because I was used to him from Silence of the Lambs, growing up with that movie, where you didn't know what he was going to do. He was so unpredictable, and you thought like he might just bite you or something like that, or like any second he would just snap. And I remember how the tension was diffused watching that movie when they kind of made him into this almost anti-hero type character.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Ridley Scott, but I just feel like that was such a mistake, you know. And
well, I mean, it was based on the book, so I mean, yeah. I know the book was a little. Yeah. They had a few variances, but I mean, ultimately, that's kind of where it landed.
I like about that movie, like the style, I think was great, and the music was terrific, but it was just kind of, you know, I don't know.
Did you ever see the prequel? I never saw it.
Hannibal Rising, terrible.
It looked terrible.
Well, I mean, because they reinvented him as like an action star, though. I mean, It ends with Hannibal Lecter gets into a sword fight with a serial killer. Like they were trying to make Batman Begins, but they called him Hannibal Lecter. Like he doesn't kill anybody innocent, and too, he just eats evildoers. Like it makes no sense.
He's not bad. He just eats bad guys.
He's evil, though. If you watch Silence of the Lambs, he's evil.
I know.
Face off. I mean, he's evil, and I always hated that. I never watched the show though, the Hannibal show. Everybody tells me
everybody loves it. So
yeah, people love it. I know, but anyway.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. I don't have time to watch everything. Jesus Christ, I can't. So tomorrow is kind of a big day.
I feel like you're gonna watch what's airing tomorrow, though. Are you gonna be able to watch it live?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna watch it at my brother's house tomorrow night. Because I'm writing the review for it, and then I'm actually gonna have you write the review for the next week's episode.
So in case everybody doesn't know what we're talking about, this is being recorded on a Saturday night, and tomorrow night is the season premiere of Game of Thrones.
So by the time you listen to this, you've already watched it and you know what happened. I will say this: I talked to Wilson Morales today from Black Film.
Oh, he saw it,
and he's seen the first episode. Wow, he saw it at the premiere that they had at in New York, and I was like,
don't about it, and then all of a sudden, a red dot appeared on his head.
No, he started, but I was like, don't tell me anything. I was like. And he was very respectful, and he's like, I'm gonna tell you any details. I'm just gonna tell you. He's like, big shit happens.
Well, shit happens, but you know something massive is gonna happen to kick it off, though, because it's always like that every season. The first episode, something crazy will happen.
But he was very excitable about it. So.
And there's only 6 episodes, so it's gonna be. I feel like each episode is gonna be jam packed.
Yeah. Well, and what we talked about, and I think we've talked about it too, is it's like, why the fuck are these not just being played in a theater? Like, I would just love to experience this in a theater.
I feel like it makes so much money too. Like it's because everybody watches it. That's the thing. It's crazy how much. Yeah. You know, I'm going on CTV to talk about it tomorrow night. It airs opposite it on CTV, and the joke is that we're going to be talking about how nobody's watching us because they're all watching Game of Thrones, right?
I seriously, for real, man.
But it is. That's it. But it's crazy. You know, I mean, you know, my girlfriend was into it more than I was, because I hadn't even watched past the 3rd season. She was like, no, we have to finish this because I want to watch it live, because if you don't watch it live, there's really no point, because there's going to be spoilers everywhere and then you're going to be spoiled. You're not going to be able to get the full effect of it. And, you know, and I got really into it though in the last couple of months, and it's an amazing show. It's an epic. Yeah. But, you know, my parents watch it, you know, my mom's 68, my dad's 72, you know, and they watch it. You know, and that goes to show you like how much of a, you know, how it's crossed. Like everybody. I mean, you know, Sephora, the makeup place, is selling Game of Thrones makeups and lipsticks. You know,
my God, Alex and Ani jewelry, which is like my girlfriend's favorite. They just released a whole bunch of special Game of Thrones shit. I even bought a fucking men's bracelet from there of Game of Thrones. That's how like I don't even wear jewelry. I was like, fuck, that's too cool. I have to have this.
It's a ton of jewelry.
Yeah, I have none. Zero.
But it's funny. I mean, it's just, and I was writing something about the Game of Thrones album that's coming out with like music by
Game of Thrones Oreos, Game of Thrones
Oreos, really?
Dew. Oh, wow. Yeah. The Mountain Dew cans that you put in the fridge, and when they...
Why am I not surprised there's Mountain Dew Game of Thrones?
Like, people are going to be fucking sugar rushing with Mountain Dew and Oreos while they're watching Game of Thrones.
I mean,
we're going to have deep dish pizza and...
I mean, I'm pretty psyched, you know, and it sucks because there's this film club in Montreal that I really like going to, and they do all their stuff on Sunday nights. They're playing really cool stuff. They're going to play like a 35 millimeter print of Shot in the Dark, which is like totally my shit. but it's the same night as the Game of Thrones finale, and it's like, guys, come on, nobody's gonna show up. It's a cinema club in Montreal. Nobody's gonna be there. They're all gonna be home watching Game of Thrones. Who the fuck isn't? It's like, come on, guys.
That just reminds me, because I'll be in Japan when Avengers Endgame opens, and I'm just like so fucking
stay off the internet, man.
I don't know how I'm gonna do this, man.
You really have to try and stay off the internet. I mean, if you want, I'll tell you what. If you want, man, just if you have to post stuff, just send it to me, and I'll post it for you.
I might have to. I mean, I'm gonna go through like.
I think
I'm gonna wear my headphones in the fucking airport like an asshole and have music playing. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna have
tickets for Saturday night.
You're gonna have to send me like your articles and to me and like the staff, and we're gonna have to post them for you. Like you're gonna have to really stay off. I'm really privileged because I'm getting to see it, a couple days before it opens, and so I'm not gonna. I'm lucky. I get to go in and have it totally fresh, and But I think I'm gonna be policing the comments, so we should just turn them off for a few days because everybody's gonna try and spoil it for everybody.
But it's like we were talking about. Even if we turn the comments off on like the review, like there's some sick, twisted fucking assholes.
But it's not just us too, though. It's going to be everywhere, and it's going to be on Twitter, and it's going to be everywhere. Any website that you go to is going to have those comments.
But and it's just have no respect. Like they'll just like post it everywhere.
People are enjoying it, and they just want to have fun. And it's like, I mean, I hate to tell you, Paul, but because you're kind of like on a geek site, somebody's going to email you and spoil it for you. God knows somebody might be listening to this now and will email you just spoil it randomly.
Hey, piece of shit! I fucking hate your beard and your voice. Guess what? Fucking Captain America dies.
It's just bullshit, and it's
that's like I remember when Force Awakens came out.
Yeah, you told me this story.
Just like immediate the first comment on a random video on our site, some fucking piece of shit pawn scum post just right away. Han Solo dies in Star Wars Episode 7. Like I imagine like these sick fucks like just sitting at their computer masturbating, imagining people's lives being
how empty is your life?
Like for real, if you're one of those people, like oh my god, there's not enough buses that could hit you in traffic. Mm-hmm. Like I have no sympathy for people like that. I think they're fucking sociopaths. It's fucking sick, twisted.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's so stupid.
Anyways, well, I think we covered the gamut here. I'll see if we have any questions.
The last thing I want to talk about, though.
Oh.
A terrible movie opened.
Oh, fuck. How did we forget? Yes.
A terrible movie opened this weekend. And my God, was it worse than you or I ever thought it would be? You haven't seen it yet?
Honestly, between you and my buddy Zaki Hassan, who's been on the show.
Him and I are on the same page.
And you two guys.
Travis, too. Travis.
Yeah. It's hard to not. It's like when somebody says, hey, there's a minefield. If you walk through that, there's a good chance you get blown up. I'm just going to listen to the advice.
We're talking about Hellboy. And it's like I was always kind of wary of this project. I always thought it was a real shame that Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman weren't going to be allowed to complete the trilogy. And I'm not even that big of a fan. Like, I liked the first one, kind of. I thought it had good things about it, but I was also kind of mixed on it. But I really enjoyed the second one, although I haven't seen it since it came out. But those movies were done by people that you could tell were really interested in the character and were invested in it. And this one is just, it's a clear cash grab. David Harbour, I think, is trying really hard, but I mean, there's nothing to it. It's like I said a couple weeks ago, it's like a Screen Gems movie from the early 2000s. It's so cheaply done. Like they shot it all in Bulgaria, and you can tell.
Mm-hmm. I was in Bulgaria.
Yeah, and it's just there. And it's like the budget was clearly low. The CGI is like something out of Spawn from '97. Like the CGI,
oh man,
really, really bad. And this is always going to be a really CGI heavy movie, right? The acting isn't good. It's all these people doing fake British accents that don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ian McShane, you can tell he's collecting his paycheck. He's doing Al Swearingen over again. I could tell right from the beginning too. It's like this black and white prologue with like the flash of red, the red cape, which is, wow. I saw Sin City as well, right? And people have been copying that for the last 15 years, and the copies of the copies now are out of fashion. I mean, who? Neil Marshall, man. I'm telling you. I mean, if you read the kind of the behind the scenes stories, it sounds like he was kind of, not really into it that much. And I mean, I feel bad for David Harbour because you can tell he really threw himself into the part, like got jacked and, and really kind of invested and and tried to make it his moment. But man, oh man, like it really doesn't work at all at any point. It felt like a bunch of 20-minute episodes of something like Ash versus Evil Dead with those kind of stars production values thrown together into a movie. Like there's little things that happen every 20 minutes. Like they could have cut it up into a couple of 20-minute shows and released it as like a 6-episode show and people wouldn't have known. And I think they cut a lot out of it too, because a lot of it doesn't really make sense. And it's still 2 hours long. I mean, if I hadn't been reviewing it for the site, I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have sat through it. It was awful. It was really awful.
Wow.
Just charmless. Nothing about it. No redeeming features at all. None.
Man, honestly, it's like, it's just depressing,
Absolutely terrible. I mean, David Harbour, good for him. He bagged a role in Black Widow, so he's doing fine. But
and he's still got Sheriff Hopper. So
yeah, and he deserves it. He's a good actor, and he's really trying. Like they tried to distinguish Hellboy a little bit by making him much more of a whiny adolescent as opposed to the other movie. It just doesn't work though, man. It just, and you compare him to Ron Perlman as well, and he's just not nearly as good. He doesn't have as much personality, but he also doesn't have like the talent behind it that did. It's just schlock. It's just exploitation schlock. And you can put all the F words and blood, CGI blood too, which is really lame.
Ugh.
Into it that you can't.
And that's very much Millennium too.
Yeah, it's a cheap Millennium movie. It's like the bad Conan the Barbarian remake, but even worse. It's like the Legend of Hercules movie that they made, like almost not good enough for a theatrical release. It's insane that they ever thought that this was going to pay off in any way, and it's a disaster. I mean, the cinema score is rock bottom. It's tanking badly, and
between that and Shazam, what do you think people are going to see?
Oh God, yeah, no, I mean, it's not even. I wasn't even that huge of a Shazam fan, but it's like Shazam is literally like 10 times.
Because you hate fun.
Yeah, I do. But at 10 times, Little is creaming it at the box office, and it's just, man, it's just like, what the fuck?
And Little's not getting that great. I mean, Kaylin, she saw it for us. She didn't like it.
I mean, it's just, I think anything next to Hellboy looks good.
Well, I'm glad for Shazam though. I mean, I'd rather the good film. Win. So.
I would have honestly hated Hellboy being a hit, because then it would just be like, oh, so quality really doesn't matter then. You could just do a shit.
Well, you know what? If anything, I think this is a good example of, people are like, oh, just because it makes money doesn't mean it's good. And it's like, well, there is some truth to that. Like
I think
it's got to be
good,
to a certain standard. Like I hated Captain Marvel, but it was at least up to minimum Marvel standard, which is
sure.
Minimum Marvel standard is still pretty decent.
Well, I mean, it has good production values and good
right. Well, and that's what I mean. It's like it's Hellboy, not a fucking disaster.
Hellboy doesn't even have that though. Like the production values are very, very, very shoddy.
Yeah.
But these guys, these Millennium guys, they're hucksters, and they
yeah.
And if you read some of the stuff, like the way their movies are cast, and that Abby Lerner character, and it's just. I don't know, man. It sounds like it was a disaster the whole time that they were doing it. And the movie itself is just god awful. You could tell people just not interested at all.
That is a true shame. It's unfortunate, and it's it's one of those things. Like for me, somebody that goes, I went to the set, I did a set visit report, I did my job as a journalist for this movie, but people are like, oh, you're just a shill for so and so. It's like, no, I mean. I'm not even gonna go see it. Like I'll just.
Your website sure ran a negative review of it, because I mean you can't get much more negative than mine was. I mean,
and that's the thing. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm not the main theatrical reviewer. I'll still do reviews, but in the end, it's up to you guys to flex your opinions on that stuff. And I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm not gonna run this because you gave it negative or positive. We could always make the choice that if it was a really negative review, I guess not to run it if we wanted to. I don't know why we wouldn't, but I mean, in the end, like I can't promote something if it's fucking complete garbage, man. That's just not the way I roll. It was the same thing for like Assassin's Creed. I went to the set visit for that, and I thought it seemed like it was going to be cool, and then I saw it,
but
and
I'll
I didn't
tell
even
you,
see it in the theater.
Hellboy's a lot better. It's nowhere near as good as Assassin's Creed, though. Assassin's Creed's a lot better, which goes to tell you how bad Hellboy is. Man.
Assassin's Creed really bad.
Hellboy is really bad. I gotta get going, but do we have any listener questions?
I think we only got a couple, so we can knock through them here. Let's see.
Turn-ons, turn-offs.
Any ideas when we might get a trailer for It 2, which I saw I saw a really long scene for It Chapter 2. You can watch the video on YouTube I did of it.
I'm thinking that the trailer is actually going to drop this week, that it'll be attached to Curse of La Llorona.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That'd be a good place to put it. Yeah. It's really cool. I mean, fuck, I love the first It, and It Chapter 2 looks great. The trailer that we saw at CinemaCon was awesome. And we saw a really long scene with Jessica Chastain's character, so
I would imagine
creepy as fuck.
I would imagine it's going to come out this week.
It's going to be great. So yeah, maybe this week with Curse of La Llorona.
Speaking of which, I got an invite to that for Wednesday, last minute.
Nice.
Yeah, you need a review of it, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Armando. We're sending him the Glass Blu-ray.
Oh.
So
is it made of glass?
No. So I'm watching The Thing for the first time. Am I going to get my ass kicked by this movie? The first time? Holy shit.
Thing from 1982?
That's a fucking treat.
You know, it's funny, actually.
The movie, so the practical effects in that movie are just
unforgettable.
To this day,
I
can watch that movie and just be fucking mind boggled.
No, and it holds up so well. I mean, it's not.
It really does.
At all. It's funny because my girlfriend hadn't seen it, and we watched it in the fall with some friends, and put it on, and it was a bunch of people hadn't seen it actually, and it freaked her out. And freaked my friends out, and it really hasn't aged at all. Like you can't. It seems like a period movie, but a period movie in a way that a period movie could be made now. You know, about 1982, like with modern production values. Like the production values are really good. The soundtrack is killer. Like an amazing score. Kurt Russell's fantastic. Keith David's fantastic. The guy from L.A. Law is fantastic, and I mean, Wilford Brimley is great. You know, I love that movie, man. The Thing is, to me, up there with Alien. You know, like it's almost hard for me to pick between those two. I can see why it was a flop when it came out because it's fucking depressing, but it is amazing.
It's so fucking good.
It is amazing, and
it's a true classic.
But I'll tell you though, great movie to watch in the winter time. I'm almost kind of like, now you've almost missed your window. Same thing with The Shining. Yeah, you've almost missed your window.
Shit. I don't know. It's a great movie though. Enjoy it, Armando. I know seriously. I would. There's so many movies I wish I could like delete from my head and just like start fresh and watch them over again. That'd be so great.
Yeah.
That would be one of them. Mm-hmm. Last question from Spielberg's Lawn. Since Episode 9 is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker saga, where would you prefer Disney to go next? Far into the future or into the past near Knights of the Old Republic?
Future.
So you would prefer that that the Skywalker name is still kind of floating out there in some way.
I just think, I don't like the idea of prequels that much in general. So it's kind of, and I feel like they've gone back into the past. They've milked that so much. Let's see like something that picks up from that.
Well, I would be interested in Knights of the Old Republic. I think that's a cool era that's never really been covered, but I would like to see kind of, I mean, I guess I kind of agree. I'd like to see where Star Wars goes from here.
But on that note, though, I kind of think that, I liked what they said, what Bob Iger said about letting the series rest a little bit, and I'm even kind of bummed that we have The Mandalorian coming out, because I remember when Star Wars movies used to be special. I don't like the idea of Disney turning it into another Marvel where there's a Disney movie coming out every like a Star Wars movie coming out every 6 months. I much prefer when it's like a couple of years in between.
It's gonna be an annual event. They're just pumping the brakes for a year, which isn't much, and that really just gives them time to like pump up a bunch of shit. So I could deal with one a year. I don't think we need 3 Star Wars movies.
I love James Bond. James Bond is my thing. Like Star Wars is for a lot of people. But I'll tell you, I'm really glad that they just have the one, that there's no James Bond universe, because I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know? It's just let me.
And I wouldn't want a James to be truthful. I would not want a James Bond TV show either.
I mean, I feel like we're gonna get all of those things inevitably once the Broccoli family sells the rights or something like that. Somebody will exploit it.
Yeah.
But at that point, it won't really be James Bond anymore. Like it'll be.
Maybe I'll be dead by then. I don't have to deal with it. Well, that's all the questions. I'm glad we're able to get this podcast done. It's been very difficult to find a good time, but hey, we got it done.
Yeah.
Lots that we wanted to talk about, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm at Star Wars Celebration for another day. I'll be seeing the Mandalorian panel tomorrow, so I'm guessing a Mandalorian trailer will be up tomorrow. And then then I'm off to Japan in a week after that for Detective Pikachu and Godzilla. So
you're starring in the remake of Shogun.
Yeah. Because I'm white, isn't it?
And you have a beard.
And I have a beard. That's all you need. So I'm going to be doing that. So we may be, I don't know, maybe we'll be able to record, maybe not, but we're always going to be making our best efforts to get it done. So please check us out on iTunes. Give us a review. That would be wonderful with 5 stars. And don't say terrible things about us like some fucking piece of shit did. I hope he gets hit by a bus.
I tried to find that comment. Looks like it's gone.
Oh, good. Fuck that guy. And then follow us on Instagram. We try to post on there. It's still new. It's still coming, but Chris posts and I post and we'll answer your questions and, trying to interact. It's just kind of like a secondary place for us all to interact. And also where we do giveaways. So far we've given away some hoodies, a glass Blu-ray. I got more stuff to give away. So that's pretty much where we want to do the giveaways because we're just trying to build up a decent presence there. So make sure that you give us a follow. And we may follow you back too, just trying to show some goodwill. And that's it. Oh, and we'll have it up on YouTube. So I know there's a whole YouTube audience too that likes to watch it that way. I totally understand. It's a great venue to do that. So that will be up very soon. I'm going to try and get this up by Monday or Tuesday. So I'm going to do my best. That's all I can ever do. Chris is going to head out now and he's going to get drunk.
Yep.
I might do the same. I might go down to the hotel bar. We'll see what happens.
Got a sweet per diem. I guess not, eh? You're there for Joe Blow?
No, it's on Disney's dime.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Oh,
yeah. But, it's all good.
We try to impress Disney, so don't go too crazy.
Fucking Joe Blow, ain't never coming again. No, I've been very good. I don't even use my full per diem by any means. I just
neither do I. I always make sure not to use the full per diem. I've always done that.
I mean,
I always just stop short.
I'm one person. Like, how much
me too,
food do I need? Now, if I go down to the bar and drink a lot, like that's another story. But
I always try to keep it pretty reasonable when I do that. Because I'm always cognizant of that. I don't want to be the guy who calls them masseuse and goes way over.
If you get a masseuse, it's clearly stated you can't do that because
somebody did that once.
Some piece of shit went and did that, and they thought they were cute. I don't know who it was, but went did it, and
I'm always so cautious about that because I just I'm like I want to make a good impression. So,
I always strive to be professional, and I also want to come off as like a nice person and somebody that is
happy to be there.
Happy to be here, thankful, and more than anything, being allowed to do my job. And the thing is, in order to do my job, I need the access.
Well, and Disney is
and that doesn't mean I'm going to write good things about whatever.
No,
doesn't mean I'm going to. It just means that I'm here. I need to be able to be here to do my job. And the truth is, like Joe Blow, we don't have the money to pay for all of that shit. So it's like it's a gift for access. And my promise is that I will report what I report. Like,
look, a lot of people always say that, that Disney, there's especially a controversy over Disney and Marvel now that Disney, will not give you access if you give Marvel a bad review, but it's really not like that. I'm kind of removed from it in Montreal, but I am the main film critic for Joe Blow, I guess. I review a lot of the stuff. I review probably 80%, I would say. And, so I'm seeing Avengers first, but I've never, nobody's ever told me that I couldn't not like it. I've been more critical on some Marvel stuff than most and never had any real pushback about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very vocal that I did not like Captain Marvel. I liked Black Panther, but I didn't think it was
Jimmy and he didn't love it either. He gave it a very kind of mixed review. So
yeah.
and
I've been
give it a good review. review? She gave it like
Caitlin gave it a good review.
She didn't give it like a. She didn't rave about it though. She gave it like a. No,
she gave it an 8 on 10, and she also kind of confessed that she's giving it a little higher rating because she connected with it on a more personal level, which is fine.
Yeah, of course.
And the whole point was I wanted to get a female perspective review.
Yeah, as you should.
And that was that. So but in the end, we're all very honest here in terms of what we're doing. And I talk to everybody that does reviews, and everybody.
Jimmy and I were on exactly the same page about it.
Yeah. So, in the end, we strive to give you.
Nobody's ever really pressured me about anything. Even when I've gone to a junket or something like that, I've never had. They always do ask you what you thought of it afterwards because they want to predict what it's going to be like. And of course, they're disappointed when you hate it. But nobody's ever told me, well, you can't write your review. They've never said that to me ever.
Well, and beyond that,
because I wouldn't listen anyway. That's the thing.
Well, I mean,
in this day and age, if somebody was to do that, you would tweet about it, and then they would be so embarrassed. What's the point? It's a lose-lose for them, I mean,
yeah, there's no win for that.
It's funny. I remember Kyle Newman was saying that the guy who did Fanboys was saying that he spoke to somebody who gave Last Jedi a good review because they felt their access was going to be revoked. And it's like, first of all, whoever did that was clearly not reacting to anything that was actually real and was just being a total fucking wimp, and it's just, have the gumption to stand by your opinions. And if you give a fake review, people will be able to tell. They will be able to tell, and they'll call you out, and you lose credibility.
Yeah, I don't get, and I've never done that. I don't give a fucking fake review. I really genuinely strive to give my real perspective. And I know that you do too. It's like, we're all fans here. Like, I mean, that's the thing is I'm not some guy that went to school to become a journalist to be able to write about everything. Like, I'm somebody that has studied writing, studied journalism, and more than anything, studied movies his whole life. And I have a, very distinct opinion and taste and outlook. And I try to share and measure films that way, and in no other way.
Positive reviews than I do negative reviews, and I'm probably more critical than a lot. I always get annoyed though when people are like, "Oh, you give us a lot of 7 on 10s." It's like I mean, really though, most movies you see will probably be 7 on 10s though. That's the most.
I just hate that argument. Like you're arguing over a number. Like, fuck off.
And it's weird because 7 on 10, it's one of those things. More than 7 on 10 means I really liked it. Less than 7 on 10 means I didn't really like it. So it's kind of in the middle. It's like, good.
That's just the thing. Like, people are looking for this focus. I feel like we talk about this every episode, but it's so frustrating because people are so fucking dead set on these goddamn numbers over a movie. You don't rate movies that way. Like, I hate putting ratings on movies. Like, I hate it.
I hate on Rotten Tomatoes, the fresh or the rotten.
That bothers me because
it's neither really.
It's not. It's true. The movies are more complex.
If it were tomato, a lot of movies I would eat them. I wouldn't love them, but it would be okay. I wouldn't die. So it'd be okay.
But there's movies. Listen, there's bad movies.
Mediocre tomatoes, and there are mediocre movies. Not every tomato is going to be fresh, and not every tomato is going to be rotten. Some of them are just going to be mediocre.
Some of them are just going to be tomatoes.
Yeah, it was a tomato.
They're fine. I'm going to chop it up and put it on top of a taco. That's it.
Well, I gotta run along, friend.
All right, man. Well, you have a lovely evening of getting shit-faced. I might do the same. I don't know. See what happens. But anyways, everybody, thanks for joining us.
Actually my third drink during the podcast in 90 minutes. So
Jesus Christ. You're way ahead of me. Anyways, you guys have a lovely week, and we will be back next week for a regularly scheduled podcast. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.